We're introduced to our protagonists, paranormal investigators Carolyn, Lance, Wanda, and Patrick. Anyways, back into the suitcase they go. And may I add, this cool little sequence is a little bit dated, but practical effects over CGI any day. Patrick laughs in her face, however, Camille has this perfect comeback for him. How's it going, everyone? It's your host, Gio. I hope everyone enjoyed the previous video about the female prisoners. Now let's return back to formula with a spooky video. Let's check out Puppet Master 2, the first of many sequels in the Puppet Master series. To quickly recap the previous film, a group of psychics are reunited by the death of an old colleague. They slowly die one by one, revealing the supposed dead colleague was orchestrating the puppets to do his bidding, in the end being defeated by his wife Megan, the protagonist Alex, and the puppets themselves. Ending on a pretty solid note, seemingly with nothing else to tell. Well, with the power of money, you can tell a lot more apparently. So let's head back to the hotel. This time we join a group of paranormal investigators who arrive to uncover what happened to Alex Whitaker and Megan Gallagher. Alright, let's get started.
Roll it, Lou.
We begin with a prologue. The puppets dig up a grave at the Shady Oak Cemetery. Pinhead pours some of that yum yum sauce, reawakening the dead. We're introduced to our protagonists, paranormal investigators Carolyn, Lance, Wanda, and Patrick, who are basically ghost adventures before ghost adventures, arriving to the hotel to investigate the mysterious death that happened between movies. So Alex Whitaker, the protagonist of the previous movie, was driven insane by the events that happened in the original, as well as Megan Gallagher's mysterious death. So now here they are to investigate this occult mystery. Meanwhile they set up, let's introduce the final character of the group, a psychic who stops to ask for directions. This gentleman seems very uninterested along with his crazy wife. Is that who I think it is?
Oh, fuck! Sucker's gonna be the size of a donkey's dick come daylight. I guess I'll just have to learn to scratch my balls with the other hand. Good thing I love my work.
Yo, it's the legend himself. Well, Camille the psychic runs off in a hurry. At night they go over the equipment, making sure everything works. Camille questions the use of technology, preferring to use her third eye and open mind. Patrick finds this insulting, asking Camille,
Camille, can you make yourself useful?
and so Lance and Camille head downstairs. Wanda also questions Camille's credentials. Carolyn vouches for her though, hoping her abilities can reveal something science cannot. Okay, Carolyn, I see you're the smart cookie of the group. Somewhere in the hotel, there's a light on with some spooky fog, but we'll get back to this. In the morning, Patrick does a little bit of exploring. Arriving at the Shady Oak Cemetery, coming across an open casket with the last name Tulon. Wait, why does that sound familiar?
This is Andre Toulon's diary. Today I gave them life, using the ancient Egyptian rites of afterlife.
Oh yeah, huh. Looks like the Puppet Master is back. Camille makes the group a tasty feast for dinner. She also lets the group in on what kind of vibe she's been picking up. And let me tell you, they ain't good. In the same conversation, we get more information about Megan's death. Her brain was extracted from her nose, mummification style. Camille has this to say.
The cross of prophecy is indeed a heavy burden.
But Patrick calls BS, referring to her news column, which I guess featured a story about aliens doing sex changes on some InfoWars stuff.
You might be fast, you might be good in the dark, but our teeth and our jaws are twice the size of yours. And when we get them into your flesh, we don't let go.
Anyways, Patrick laughs in her face, however, Camille has this perfect comeback for him.
If I've had to occasionally compromise my gift to pay my bills, Mr. Bramwell, don't judge me until you've tried the same.
Yeah, Camille, you tell him. Wait, where are you going? Come back. Nice going, Patrick, you douche. In the morning, Patrick tries to apologize with a flower. If you don't get your Trey Parker looking ass the hell out of here. Anyways, Carolyn gives a backstory to Toulon. The great puppet master Andre Tulon was escaping Nazi Germany when he was followed to the hotel. However, he offed himself before they could catch him. Just then, Camille lets out a yell from upstairs. She believes she saw two of the puppets in her room. When they go to investigate, it's just Raggedy Ann dolls. The group has grown skeptical of Camille, however, she stands firm on what she saw, also suggesting they're in grave danger if they stay in the hotel. When Camille goes to pack up her things, she's attacked by the puppets, being dragged into the unknown. Meanwhile, our boy Lance is watching over the monitors for a sign of life when him and Wanda notice Tunneler sneaking into Patrick's room. I think you know where this is going. Tunneler attacks Patrick. Too bad Lance gets there at the last second. Carolyn then asks everyone to leave so she can mourn. In the following scene, they begin to dissect Tunneler. Amazed at the scientific anomaly, Carolyn lets Lance and Wanda know that Camille had left a little while ago. Right. A little into the future, they go over the footage when a mysterious man arrives.
I am Eric Chani. Please excuse my abrupt appearance.
He claims to be the owner of the hotel. The group immediately calls BS. However, they play it cool for right now. Mr. Channy retreats to his quarters. There's a knock at the door. It's Carolyn's son, Michael. He's here to help with the investigation. Too bad mommy left last night. Or did she? Anyways, he can't believe his eyes when he notices Tunneler. He cannot process all the information going on. Carolyn offers him a room for the night. He agrees to stay. Also, I'd like to add that Carolyn refuses to call the authorities, because no normal person would believe in a living killer puppet. Let's shift our attention over to Matthew and Martha, the couple from earlier.
I told you to go somewhere else if you're going to do that.
Oh shit, looks like our boy Matthew is a goner. Martha isn't going down without a fight, immediately grabbing the double barrel. She's missing her shots, eventually tossing Leech Woman into the furnace. Rip. That's 2 puppets down. That's when the new quote-unquote puppet Torch appears, giving Martha the same treatment. Remember kids, if you suddenly find yourself ablaze, stop, drop, and roll. Here's a prime example of what not to do. Back with Enrique. He patiently awaits the puppet's return. Poor Jester isn't looking too well. Enrique explains that the puppets, along with himself, grow weaker and weaker with the passing hours. When Torch and Blade arrive, Enrique is disappointed, for not only is the brain cooked medium well, but Leech Woman is gone. He scolds the puppets, telling them they need to be more careful so he can make more of the serum, so they can return to being Andre Tulon and his stringless marionettes. Poor Jester shakes his head like,
Estoy cansado, jefe.
Anyways, back into the suitcase they go, and may I add, this cool little sequence is a little bit dated, but practical effects over CGI any day. My guy reminisces about his past when he stares at a promotional poster for his show. Flashback to Cairo, Egypt in 1912, where a young Andre is putting on a boring show. Just look at the crowd. Suddenly this creep in the back, using the power of lighting, sets the stage ablaze. The man seems to know Tulon as we see him waiting for Andre later on. The creepy man wants to teach Mr. Tulon the way of magic. Unveiling his own puppet, Andre refuses at first, but the magic man makes a valid argument.
We gonna get fame, money.
Don't forget the bitches.
In the present, Carolyn and Michael confront Mr. Channy, aka Tulon. All they end up walking away with, however, is an indirect threat. I like this little black and white transition. It reminds me of Ringu. Elsewhere, we drop in on a camping trip where this little boy has wandered off to go play with his G.I. Joe and whip? Alright. At first, it's all innocent play.
Die, Nazi scum.
However, I start looking at this kid sideways when he starts doing this. The young lad launches the action figure in the air only to get thrown back by Torch. The kid fucks around with Torch only to find out Carolyn and Michael have been asking for Camille's whereabouts, but come up with nothing. They eventually open up to each other. Michael is a writer of Western fiction books. Meanwhile, Carolyn has been a businesswoman all her life, who has been looking for something more meaningful. That was until Patrick's death, where she feels she's to blame, leading to this kiss as a form of comfort. Aw, how sweet. Back at the hotel, Carolyn looks over Tunneler's corpse when Wanda excuses her of her duty. Carolyn doesn't want to, but when she hears Michael is asking about her, she agrees to take a little break. Michael sets the mood by playing some slow jazz. But then this bozo shows up, talking about, may I have this dance? First off, ew. And second, Michael, you might want to cut in, bud. Andre acts like a petty little bitch. Dropping a record and turning off the player, Carolyn is heated, but Michael calms her nerves, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Tulon and his puppets plan their final move, killing everyone, leaving only Carolyn alive, with Torch being personally tasked to take out Michael. Lance and Wanda are about to engage in some premarital sex when Wanda goes out to investigate a strange noise, only to come back to a horrible sight. Rip Wanda too. After sexy time, Carolyn sneaks into Tulon's room, discovering the human-sized marionettes. Carolyn lets out a shriek, which causes Michael to spring into action, and just in the nick of time. Torch is here, and holy man-ass Batman. Too bad I gotta block it. Michael makes his way to Carolyn. Andre is convinced Carolyn is his ex-wife, Elsa reincarnated. That's when Andre reveals his big plan. He plans on transferring his soul along with Carolyn's soul into the life-size puppets, so they can get back to loving each other. While that's going on, Michael is fighting literal battles to get to Carolyn. When running in a blade, he gets a cameo from Jester and his mom, who are on their way up. Tulon begins the ritual once the puppets have gathered. He pours some of the serum into a cup, which now looking at it, kinda looks like matcha. Anyways, he pours some of his blood into the wooden doll, transferring damn near instantly. Now this next part I don't understand. So when Andre's about to transfer Carolyn over, in the process he basically disregards the puppets, proclaiming,
Your hard work has not been in vain. Of course, you may wither into dry wood.
So when Michael arrives and Andre has Carolyn, at knife point the puppets say fuck it and turn their back on Tulon. Stealing the last of the matcha for themselves, Michael and Carolyn escape and we get another sequence in where the puppets destroy their greedy master. Jester, what do you got there?
It's a smoothie.
We flash forward, Michael and Carolyn visit Camille's grave, however Michael isn't convinced his mother is in there. We then see a van park on the side of the road. Oh shit, it's Wood and Camille and the puppets. She lets us know that she's on her way to the Children's Mental Institute to offer the children therapy. If it's anything like what I just saw earlier, I wish those kids hella luck. I hope those troubled youth have a splendid time with Wood and Camille and the puppets. I'm sure Torch will be a fan favorite. Let's take a look at the behind the scenes where there was apparently a ton of drama. And who was the main source of the drama? Actually came from the director David Allen, who was a great puppeteer and stop motion coordinator, but a horrible director, literally unable to do his title job, with one actress admitting that there was no respect on set. At least they were able to shoot the movie as originally planned, right? I guess they couldn't do that either. It's been stated before that the movie itself is technically unfinished with roughly 63, you heard me, 63 incomplete shots. Which if you're planning on watching it once, you wouldn't even notice. However, if you're like me, you're analyzing every shot, every line of dialogue for a little something extra. Plus, with Google now, I seem hella big brained. For example, we were supposed to get a full flashback sequence to what exactly happened to Alex and Megan, but all we got was some lame-ass explanation about the events that happened off-screen. Another example would have been an extensive look at Andre's Toulon's backstory, which spoilers we get in the next movie, however in the context of this one as a standalone, leaves me with more questions than answers. Quick side note before moving on, I didn't know where to add this, but I wanted to bring up how Andre Toulon's look in this movie seems to be inspired by the Invisible Man from the original Universal Monster movies, as well as Michael's look in this scene. It kind of reminded me of Fred Jones from Scooby-Doo. Now for my favorite and least favorite parts of the movie. My least favorite part of the movie has to be the inconsistencies I mentioned earlier, but also the issue I had with the first one, in which the story wants to say more, but is hindered this time due to its first-time director and incompetences when it came to shooting. For my favorite parts of the film is the inclusion of Torch as a puppet, along with the idea of bringing back Tulon only for him to default back into being a tortured artist yearning for his wife. Blinded by his ambitions, he cannot see his shortcomings, as well as him trying to transfer himself and Carolyn into the puppets. Out of a score of 10, I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10. It has a lot to offer in terms of world building, but at the same time, it holds the movie back due to its incomplete scenes. A slight step up from the previous movie, but we still got like 10 more movies to go over. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next chapter of the Puppet Master series. It's only uphill from here, folks. So make sure to like the video, follow me on Instagram, and that's all, folks. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
There's not gonna be fame and there's not gonna be bitches.